Hi, welcome to my channel, KTB IOM. Today I just wanted to do a quick 6 month um, catch up on the YMG. Um, Marked at £75, but weighed in another video at an average of £106 at 32 inches. So I've got this bow now a little over 6 months. I got it in December, and it was a lot heavier than I thought it would be, because previous to that I had a Yeonmugung at £60 that came out at £78, 80 depending on the draw, and I was expecting this one to be about £15 heavier, so from 80 to about 95. But actually, I don't know whether it's because of stacking or maybe the curvature on the bow, on the limbs, that has increased the poundage a bit, so it came out 106 at 32 inches. I've got a new scale on the way because I don't trust my old scale anymore that much. It's been a bit erratic and giving it too many false readings. So once I get the new scale, I'm going to remeasure all the bows and know exactly how much I'm pulling. But I just wanted to just go over the last 6 months with this bow and my experience with it, and especially in relation to building strength and control of the bow. And because one of the things I want to do is I want to shoot war bows, and I want to get up to, I don't know, a decent weight at warbow level. I don't know how much I can do or how far I can go. I've never been very fit and don't do the gym, so the only training I get is shooting the YMG at the moment. So I've had it for 6 months. At the end of February, no, the end of March, February. I had it for, I can't remember. So yeah, at the end of February. So much, yeah. So at the end of February, I was shooting it. I was doing a lot of volume with the bow, and I injured my shoulder. I had some sort of impingement. I got a pain every time I sort of pulled it back, and it was, I could feel it in my sleep. It was very uncomfortable, and it took about four to 6 weeks to go away. So at the end of February, I stopped shooting the YMG, and then I moved on to my other bows, trying different technique, trying different styles to sort of improve my form. And then I picked up the YMG again at the beginning of May. So I've only shot it, so December, January, February, May, June. So yeah, about 4 months. But in that time, I have built up my strength, and in the last couple of weeks, it really feels like, the YMG is now a routine bow. It doesn't feel completely out of reach. Still feels heavy, but it's predictable heavy. And this was something that I've been trying to explain, because every bow I picked, you still feel the tension. It's not like, they don't, they don't feel strong. And last week I had the JMG, and even though that's £45, it was still, at £60 at full draw more or less. It still felt, I still felt the tension, and you can't hold it at that full draw for very long. This week I've got the Yeonmugung as insurance, just in case anything happens with the YMG. I went out and midweek and to the 3D course, which is very overgrown and haven't been there in a year, and trying to go over a fallen tree. I fell and got a few scratches into a pile of brambles, and sort of landed on my hands. So I kind of have a bit of a sore pain here, so I wasn't sure whether I'll be able to hold the bow properly, because I can't put weight on my hand. I think I just landed with a thump, fell on my arse from standing on top of a tree trunk, so into this bramble bush. So yeah, even though I was wearing long sleeves, make sure that your sleeves are down and not up. So on this one I only scratched, where the end of my sleeve, just down here, but on this one I had drawn my sleeve back, because it was warm and sweaty. So yeah, my fault. I should have kept my sleeves down. But yeah, sorry. And I took the daylight because difficult terrain. The daylight copes with it better. So back on the YMG, but I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to shoot today. But I've gone around the course and it's been okay, no problems. And now I feel I have a lot more control on the bow, and it feels quite natural. So I said back when I got the bow that this is my aspiration bow, and now I think it's turning into kind of a workhorse bow. I don't feel intimidated by it anymore. I respect it because it is still quite a bow to pull and draw, but it works quite well for me. And I think, like I said, I haven't done any training. I'm a firm believer on the maxim that in order to pull a heavy bow, you have to pull a heavy bow. So that's it. So I think of it's taken me about 6 months on and off to get this far. So I'm quite happy with that time frame. It might be a bit ambitious, I think, because I did injure myself. So maybe if I'd taken a slightly lower weight, it would have been better. But I kind of learned some lessons from that, and I just wanted to share that. So now I'm just going to do some shooting out the bottle down there, and we're going to take some slow draws and hold the bow and just see how accurate and control I have on the bow with the bow now. Of course, the longer you hold it, the more tired you get, and the accuracy will decrease. So sometimes it's best to just, aim as you draw and then just release when you're ready. So that was a bit touching the bottle. Try one more. So I've been shooting, did a little video before, so I'm a bit more tired than normal. But and I also been thinking of a way of describing what it feels to swap between bows, because each bow is still, you can still feel the weight. So last week I shot the jail, 60 pounds, that you can still feel the weight on that. I've got the 55 pound Mujin here, which comes out about 75 pounds, and you can still feel the weight in that. But it kind of feels like, when you go into a large building, a bank or something, and they've got these big doors on the outside with a big steel bar on the front, and you sort of get to it. And sometimes the doors are quite light, so you just pull them and they're quite light. You get to the next door and it's a heavy door and you're not sure, and then you pull and you kind of get stuck. And then it's very difficult to change gears when you're in the middle of a pull. So then, knowing it's a heavy door, you just give it a good yank and it opens fine. And then maybe you get to the next door thinking it's a heavy door and it's a light one, and you give it the same yank and it just flies open. And it's a bit like that with the bows. So if you get to the bow knowing it's heavy and you're ready to sort of give it a full yank, it's a lot easier to draw. You get ready there. But when you start thinking it's light and then you start pulling at, as you wear a light bow, you kind of get stuck and you can't finish. You have to stop and then start again. And I think it's to do with the way your neurology works in terms of the muscles. That you normally operate, I think, on maybe on 20% power, and for most things that's fine. But when you have something else extra, you need to give it 80%. So you need to approach the task at thinking, this is 80% power, I need to give it a good effort, and then it's a lot easier to just pull the bow. So So there's that. And the other thing, you know, do have a look and research 1 rep max training, where that is used to build strength, because you're basically just pushing yourself to lift something heavy, you know, for a very short time without a lot of reps. Whereas a lot of the training you see where people do low weight and lots of reps, that's just to build muscle, and muscle doesn't equal strength. The two things are not the same. So if you want to build strength, you know, do 1 rep max, shoot a heavy bow, don't overdo it, because you'll injure yourself. But little by little, you know, that sort of, your body gets trained to give you, you know, 80%, 90%, 100% power when you need it, rather than the basic 20% all the time. So like I said, I got this bow in December, 6 months, took a break for 2 months, April and May, no, March and April, and now I feel like I'm, you know, I'm quite comfortable with this bow now. It doesn't feel I'm overdoing it. It doesn't feel I'm overbowed. It feels quite good. I can feel it on my back when I shoot it. Whereas with the lighter bows, I never actually knew what back tension was, because you don't need back tension. You could do everything with your arms, but with this one, you definitely need back tension, and you know, and it does make a huge difference. And then having that back tension, going back to the other bows, it's also helped me improve down the line. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Cool.